Hi everyone. Today we will see about variables in Python. Before wasting the time, so let's get started. I have here in my getting started with Python folder, which I was introducing in the last video. We'll go ahead and start our spin up our Honda's environment over here, and then we'll create an IPython file and we'll discuss variables over. So to start with, as I told you, so this is simply is just writing CMD by selecting all of them, just writing anything there. It will open up your terminal right place of your folder where you are getting. So now I can actually activate my environment. Conda activate. So once you type Conda activate, it would spin up your Python environment ready. So once it's ready, then you would see that the next line appears with the base environment. This we have discussed in the last. Now I can access to have all the Python libraries along with me. As I told you, we will be using Jupyter Lab for the complete series. So we'll type Python AUIER and Lab, Jupyter Lab. That should spin up my Jupyter notebook for me, and it should create a the environment for me inside this folder. Wait for a moment. That should start right now. It started in my default browser. I mean, default browser is here, so it is starting tab over. So as I told you, right now I am in the same folder where I am. Look at this folder here. You can see that let's get started. I think IPython file is here as well as over. I'm in the same folder. This checkpoints, of course, this dot IPython checkpoints usually a hidden file over here, so it won't be visible over. Okay, let's get started. For this lecture, we will create a new file called variables. Maybe by clicking on this or this notebook on this Python 3. Let's create an untitled notebook over here. It's a good idea to rename this notebook. Say suppose variable. That's all. Okay, that will change it. Alright. So you can click on this button to toggle this folder view here, sidebar here. We keep these things here. Okay. So what is a variable in Python? In Python, variable is simply a naming convention for any of the text which you. For example, if I want to write something like this, I say hello world. That's my sentence. This we have printed in the last lecture as well. So if you compile this, then you see that you get to see that hello world has been. So instead of doing this way, what we can do here is we can type something like this msg equal to, and then the string whatever we want to say. So hello world goes in the comment. And now what we can do here is instead of doing this, then do this. So compiling this gives you the same output as that of what I have done. So this time what is the advantage here is I can now have my variable set up over here, and hence anytime actually I want to modify this variable, I can come over here and change it. Imagine I have this message to be printed, let's say suppose 5 to 10 different places in my paragraph. I would simply create this msg variable and change here. Let's say suppose somebody comes and tells you that you change this word exclamation, and you need to actually go ahead and change the all the 5 places if you are not using the variables. So this is setup, and this setup is actually called as a variable. So this has a name of the variable and it has an assignment. So this equal to is actually is called as an assignment operator. So name and assign that variable to value called hello world. So let's say suppose what I was trying to say was let's put one more time message that prints 2 times. Now if I want to if I want to remove this exclamation, I can remove exactly at this only one. So removing exclamation over here removes everywhere in the print. The advantage of that's the advantage of defining a variable. So that's about variable. Now what and all you can what is the convention of a variable, or in other words, variable can have what are the properties. So your variable names can contain only variable names can contain only letters, numbers, and underscores. So, variable names can contain only letters, numbers, and underscores. Although it can contain a letter, a variable cannot start with a number. What do I mean by this here is you cannot say that one message equal to hello world. Can't do that. Cannot start with the variable name as letter, number. Compile this and you'll get an error, invalid string. Okay. You can end with a number. You can just write this as a message one. That's not a problem. If you compile this now, then this works. So variable name has to be in Python usually should be as descriptive as possible. What I mean is message should be, of course, I have written as MSG. You could have even actually named this as small m. No one is harmed to you. But this is not as descriptive as that of MSG. If you would prefer, you can even write message equal to something like this. This is more preferable than M either, rather than MSG as well, right? So I like the MSG version itself because it's a universal way of understanding MSG is message. Let's say suppose I want to name this as first message and second message like that. What I can go about here is I can write, instead of writing msg1, I could have written msg hyphen 1, sorry, underscore 1, separate the variable name. So msg2, let's say suppose let's learn Python. Okay, so that's my message 1 and message 2. Now I can choose to print both of them. So print, I can print it in the one line itself like this. So hello world, let's learn Python. I think it was nice if you have the animation over. So hello world, let's learn Python. So this is a message one and this is the, so variable can have this many restrictions. As far as I know, only those extra are there. That's all. You need to be very careful. Of course, every variable can have a capital letter as well, but it's a usual convention that you always have to name your variables in a small letter. So that's a usual convention, but I will actually write it as a request. Please name your variables in small letters one. Of course, this numbers and underscores are also involved. First, so to split the name of the variable, you can use the underscore, like as I did, message underscore one and message underscore. So that's all about the variables. Now you can have anything as a variable. For example, you can write this as a, for example, I write age is equal to 3. So that's a number and that can uh, be a value for a variable here. Let me actually quickly do one thing. Let me say that name equal to, let's say David, and then age is equal to, let's say suppose 30, and then let's say suppose school equal to some school, say suppose St. Joseph High School. So these are some examples of variables. Now what I can do here is I can use these variables to print such statements like this. Print. I can do something like, I want to say suppose David, uh, who is at the age of 30, has studied in St. Joseph's High School. What I want to print. So what I will do usually here is I write David, the age of 30, studied at St. Joseph's High School. Now, as you notice, I wanted to use the variables here because this gives the output, but that's not what we want because the sentence might repeat everywhere else in my complete paragraph. do that, what I will do is I take up this pivot here, and I will actually write this complete statement as a formatted string, right? How do I write a formatted string? Simply write F in just before this quotes, whatever you want to write, and hollow out whatever you want to write. For example, David has to be replaced with the name. So the way I write, I bring out name in between the formatted string is the curly braces, and in between the curly braces you write the name. Let me compile and check. See, the output doesn't change because as expected. Right now, this time, what is the change is simply we have written instead of hard-coded David, I have written the name variable whichever I have chosen. Similarly, over here as well, I can just choose to decide to write only the 30 using the age variable. So I can put a curly braces and write the age here. So I compile this, and that just prints the age here over here. Similarly, at the school, I can actually replace my complete Joseph's High School, take off the complete St. Joseph's High School. Over here, take the curly braces and write. So that gives the exact same output, right? So this time, if I even want to change the uh, name over here, age over here, everything, I can do that. For example, I have such data like that with me. So name equal to somebody else and age is somebody else and is something else. And I choose to decide to print the same statement with respect to those data, I can do that over here. So that's the advantage of writing, or that's the advantage of having the variable. So in short, variable is something that we can use it to ease our job, edit in a single place, and follow this something called do not repeat your code. Just write. So we don't have to repeat it repeatedly using this way names everywhere. So whereas we can just write whatever is required around that. So that's all about this video, and I'll see you in the next video. We'll have a look at the something called strings, and I'll say some of the string manipulation. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot.